Hello, everyone. Lisa Haverly here, Nature Superhero Network. And I'm back with another amazing interview. And this is Amanda Hall, who I first connected with probably during COVID because she was doing some really cool work with moms and nature. And so, my gosh, I haven't really connected with her since that time. And she is just like catapulted and amplified her skill set beyond what I could even have imagined. So I just am excited that she has agreed to be here today to kind of to update me on what she has been kind of doing and dreaming and actualizing her dreams. She has a lot to share. And so I really hope everybody tunes in because, you know, OT can look so many different ways. And I really think Amanda, what she has done is she has seen the need and she has figured out a way to meet the need. And she's doing work with adults. So tune in if that's your passion work or passion population. So here is Amanda, who is tuning in from Ontario, Canada, which we were trying to figure out how far exactly away she is from me, but we're figuring out the Great Lakes. You know, you got to go around the Great Lakes. So probably 4 or 5 hours, maybe. I don't even know, but maybe by boat, it might be faster. But here she is, and she is going to first kind of share with us her nature connection because stories matter, and our story kind of continues all across our lifespan. But I'd like to kind of start with that since we are talking about nature-based therapy. So welcome, Amanda. Thank you for being here and time. So yeah, nature connection. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, thank you for having me again, Lisa. It's such a pleasure to talk to you again. And so my nature connection started many, many years ago, where I realized through my own journeys for health and wellness that just being outdoors has a huge impact on my mental health, on my mood, on just how I feel, just even those rays of sunshine on my face. And I was starting to realize once I went through my OT training that there was a lot that we could harness from just getting people outdoors a little bit more. Through some of the work that I was doing, I was in hospital settings and clinical settings. And so I realized that there's a lot of disconnect with people, with nature, unfortunately. And then once I had my own children, I just saw the benefit so much more of getting outdoors. Mm-hmm. So and now I live on a farm. My husband and I, about 10 years ago, bought a farm, and I've started my practice here on the farm.
That's great. And I remember when I first interviewed you, you were really concerned about moms, right? And all of that. Yeah. And so tell me about that moment in time, what you were really focused on. And I know you're still concerned, but I think the reason I had reached out to you way back then is you were really thinking about, it's not always about going out into nature if that is difficult. Like, how can we make that connection easier by bringing nature in? So if you could just kind of share a little bit about what was happening at that point in time and maybe still today, but that support for moms. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So my practice was originally developed to support maternal health and women's health, specifically following my own experiences with my children and postpartum mood disorder and anxiety and just overall disconnect with being a human being after having babies, especially my second, right? And so I realized that attention restoration occurred when I was outside. My brain felt clear. I felt like I could actually have a good thought again after spending some time outside. And so I thought this is really important work for moms, and I want to try and share this as much as possible through my own personal lived experience, but then also building up on my OT knowledge that I have and the evidence that is out there right now for nature-based therapy.
Yeah.
So I started running mom and baby groups in the forest, and there were some amazingly special moments of having babies and moms and doing that reconnection with nature, but also reconnection with baby. And just seeing these connections occurring in nature when we're having just the impact of all of the sensory experiences that we can have to help regulate ourselves and then co-regulate with our babies was very, very impactful. And so that's where everything really started from. And I've since then moved into more pediatric work. And thanks to your lovely support and education, running a printing program in the forest this last 2 summers now, which has just been so successful, and continuing to do that this year. And so when I'm realizing about the importance of getting everybody outside as much as possible, no matter who you are, we're also recognizing that there's a lot of barriers. And as OTs, it's our job to recognize what are those barriers for people getting outside. Mm-hmm. For moms, I recognized that it is a significant anxiety, a significant fear of intrusive thoughts when there's a postpartum mood disorder there. There's a lot of different barriers for people who are in urban settings, transportation to get out to facilities that are more nature focused. Yeah. So part of my work has really been to focus on how do we bring the nature in? How do we allow people to still get all of these inherent benefits of being out in nature when there are barriers to them being able to do that? And so getting creative and figuring out ways that we can still create that nature connection despite the challenges that people may have.
Yeah, I think I even remember you know, at my camps, we'll do kind of worry stones or kind of create rocks that matter to us, and we might stick them in our pocket. I think I remember you saying, well, moms can do that too, or caregivers can have that same kind of tool. And I'm like, I had an aha moment. Like, so much of what we do with children really can be supportive of parents too. It might be a different kind of narrative that you're sharing with them, but I remember you saying that, and I'm like, that really stuck with me. That I'm like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't we give the same tools, those nature tools, to our caregivers?
And so I have a tray essentially in my practice where moms can choose what type of, I call them adult fidgets. So it's a stone or a little slice of wood that's smoothed down. This is one I want to share with you, and it is sheep fleece.
Oh, cool.
So I have just fleece, because if you think about when we sit down in the grass, the first thing that we tend to do is touch the grass. We pull at the grass. There's something calming about that, right? The repetitive motion, the sensory input, the tactile nature of it, the connection with the ground we're sitting on. And when we're inside, obviously, it's difficult to do that. So to try and mimic that while I'm having some challenging conversations with moms or caregivers for some of the children that I see, they can pick up this, they can take it with them, and it is a connection to an animal, which is still obviously very nature-based, but it is just something that you can pull, you can feel. It's got different color variations in it. It has a little bit of a smell to it, like not barnyard smell. It's better than that, but some people love that smell too. But these are just different things that I bring into my sessions that can help bring that connection as well.
Yeah. So could you just tell me about your sessions, like with maybe a caregiver, to give an idea to those listening? Like what does that really look like?
Yeah, we do a lot of play-based intervention. And so whether it is inside or outside, we bring a lot of play into it. And it is a lot of even with the moms who are coming to me for, let's say, postpartum concerns, we do a lot of play with infants, toddlers, older children, and guiding and allowing parents to just feel like it's okay to have fun, to feel silly, to learn again how to be silly. And the best place to do that is when you're outdoors, when you are not confined by those four walls. And so where it's really important to have an idea around how do we create that or recreate that indoors, I bring a lot of swings inside. I have branches. I have a lot of loose parts that are all nature-based. I have a gardening set that is nature-based. So I have one with me. It is, and this is just from Amazon, but it's one of my favorites. So it's building a garden.
Okay, I can see that. That's cool.
Yes. Yeah. So it is plastic pieces. I try and have as many natural pieces as possible, but sometimes that's hard to do. And so bringing these things where you can create a garden with the caregiver and child in an indoor space, I have seeds. We do seed sorting. I have seed catalogs that we look through and do garden planning for executive function, building in some spaces for everybody in the family that's going to be part of it. We read a lot of stories. I have a lot of books that I read to the kids, and I encourage caregiver to read them as well, even if they're just wee little newborn babies, because it's mom's voice or dad's voice. This is one of my favorite books that I read. I don't know if you've seen this one before, Lisa.
Yes, it's an awesome book.
It's one of my favorites. And so I have books like that,
Yeah.
we just try and recreate as best as we can. I have pictures and decals all on my walls of trees and animals and bunnies, and
I love
just
it.
really trying to recreate that feeling within the four walls. And then I do a lot of work with families that allow us to eventually get outside. So we look at reducing some of those barriers. So we have a lot of conversations. Is it that it's anxiety based? And so we can do some CBT work around reframing some of those automatic thoughts to allowing us to get outside. Thankfully, in Ontario, where I am, we don't have any really poisonous wildlife or dangerous wildlife. I think the worst that we have here is maybe ticks, and that I know is pretty down on the level of what to be worried about.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of people that, have some significant concerns about getting out into the forest or getting out into nature. And so we just work through some of those fears to be able to create more of a relaxation around the thought of spending time outdoors.
Yeah. And how do you think people find you, Amanda? Like, how are you getting referrals for that type of work? Because I can see that would be a question. Like, I'm sure many people are like, I want to do that. That's kind of like my vision. But then the reality of like, how do you find those people, right? Kind of in that postpartum, maybe kind of, or even people that have fear of nature. Like, how do they find you or realize like, okay, I need to overcome that? Or I'm curious about that.
So I insert myself into wherever I possibly can in our community. So it is a lot of work to market and advertise. It is a lot of word of mouth. It is providing some free education. So I do a lot of drop-ins to some of our mom and baby programming that's already here that is run by through our province. Yeah. And so I will go to some of these groups and just do some information sessions and let them know, some tips that they can try on their own and that they can always reach out if they have more questions.
So really establishing relationships. Yeah.
Establishing relationships. That's exactly what it is. Making connections with other individuals who are supporting this population. And so I have been able to make connections with a lot of the doulas in our area, with midwives, some of the social workers and acupuncturists, chiropractors, psychotherapists, anybody who seems to be seeing these people in this population. I have made connections with. And I think that's the biggest piece, is that relationship building and building trust in order for people to understand that I'm not just going to throw you in the woods and tell you to fend for yourself, right?
Right.
There's a complete therapeutic process around getting you outdoors, but then also building up your level of comfort and ability to enjoy nature.
Right. Very good. I love that. So I feel like I need to respect your time. So, because I really wanted to, because before we even started this interview, she was telling me all that she's been doing since I last talked to her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, mind blown. She's doing so much. And so I do want you to take some time to kind of say what else you're doing. So you had that beautiful practice, you still do. So you're doing that. And then you went into academia. Yes. So tell me about that and what you're doing there.
Yeah. So I still have my practice here locally, which is on my farm. I've hired on a few OTs in our local city in Kingston who are doing some visits with moms, and I'm getting supporting them with the training to get that mental health lens for maternal health. And then I've opened up a second location in my practice in a more rural area, which has a need. So we're trying to tap into that need. So I'm still very heavily focused on my practice, but I'm also very interested in supporting OT students. And so over COVID, my husband and I had a significant change in jobs, which made me look out for some other opportunities. And so, in addition to help support my practice, and so as we all know, difficult things happened during COVID. So, bouncing back from that, I was able to get into one of our university here locally, which is Queen's University. And I'm on faculty there in our OT department. And I am teaching in our mental health course. And I also do fieldwork coordination and work a lot with students. I also have a passion for research and bringing an OT lens to different situations, thinking outside of the box. And so I'm able to incorporate our OT students in my practice, but then also in research.
Very cool. Wow, that's so awesome. Really awesome. And so I know you mentioned research. So
Yes.
so tell me why you love research. And I mean, in what you hope to do more with, I mean, like, what is your intention behind looking at the research? Like, what specifically do you want to really know more about?
Sure. And so I love research from the basis of I feel that we don't have enough OT specific research out there to back up working in a maternal health or women's health perspective. Mm-hmm. But then bringing in a nature lens, I had two students doing a scoping review for me a couple of years ago now, and they tried to look at the OT role using nature-based interventions for maternal health, and there was nothing. I think they got one article in this review. And so that was really a push to be like, we are doing some incredible work as OTs, that if we are able to capture it, quantify it in some way, and publish it, that is just, we're an evidence-based profession. We need to help build up that evidence as best as we can. And so that is certainly a growing passion of mine. I've been able to work each year now with multiple OT students through our local university, creating these opportunities for just awareness to how amazing OTs are and what we're doing, and getting solid OT evidence behind what we do.
Right.
I'm tired. I'm actually tired of using other professionals' research to build my own evidence-based practice, right? So it's time we have an OT lens on that.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I can't wait to see all that comes out of your work then, as we, find where those needs are, and you're looking at more of that maternal health and well-being and that nature connection and how that can be so supportive. So I think that's
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And one of the things that if anybody who's watching is interested in looking into, how do we support other populations? I know we mentioned I am expanding my reach from perinatal and maternal health populations and pediatric into more older adults with specifically diagnosis of dementia, and looking at how we can bring some nature-based interventions and environmental adaptations into long-term care facilities to help with some mood management and overall just well-being. And I'm lucky enough to be able to collaborate with my husband on that, who's an environmental researcher, and we're bringing OT students into that too. So stay tuned for that. But if anybody is curious about that, I'm always happy to chat about anything.
And so you haven't done a lot with that yet. You just are seeing kind of. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
We were just starting to work with the OT students, and bringing my husband on board from the environmental research perspective, and he is mostly water research and water quality research, but and he does water and human health as well. Okay. And so we're bringing in some environmental studies students as well as OT students to collaborate and look to see how can we change some environments within long-term care facilities to support the well-being of folks diagnosed with dementia. We know that there's a significant impact. We just don't have the evidence specifically to help support these ideas. And so that's what we're hoping to do.
Oh, I think that's amazing. And I had brought up before I hit record, like, how there's even research to support solariums from, I don't know what country was that, but that it really showed that people, their health and well-being improved with access to sunlight. And so I don't know what that means for dementia, but I can only kind of make some assumptions that it would be helpful in some way, shape, or form. So, just thank you for doing all that you're doing. It's really, really awesome work. And I'm betting you're very, very busy.
I am busy, but it is, you have to be passionate about your work that you do. Otherwise, it's not as fun, right? Yeah. But I'm having fun. So I don't mind that I'm writing grants in the evening or doing some emailing in the evening once my kids go to bed. You have to enjoy it.
Yeah. And how old are your kids?
I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old.
I'm like, things are little that I remembered from a few years ago. So
yes.
Yeah, yes. Like you've been managing that role. So see, it can be done, people. Like if you're passionate, find what you're passionate about and just go for it. And so what I love about Amanda is she's really seen some need, and you're really more of an innovator, I feel like, in our field, but still staying very much grounded in who we are as OTs and recognizing the full scope of our practice, which I think sometimes when we are entering into this nature-based world, we get hung up on, is it really OT? Right. And I think if we move forward with this lens of what matters to people, and what does a meaningful kind of health and well-being kind of lifestyle look like? And are people having access to that? And if they're not, what role can we play to kind of bring that together for people? So
absolutely. And I see it as it's environmental adaptation, right? We're just removing the walls. We're changing the environment. And I think we can very easily justify nature-based work as our role in OT.
Definitely. All right. Do you have any lasting thoughts or comments, words of wisdom for those that might be listening?
I think the biggest thing that I always focus on for myself is whatever your passion is, whatever you do for yourself, imagine if we were able to make a job out of that, and imagine that you were able to create that into a passion that you could share with others. So even if you don't think that it is OT related, I would really encourage you to dig down deep, look at some of the theoretical frameworks if you need to try and understand how as an OT you can fit into these unexpected areas, because there's so much that we can do as OTs. It's such a vast area, and that's why I love OT. Is I challenge anybody to tell me, oh, that's not OT. We'll have a conversation and I'll have you convinced it's OT by the end that we talk.
We are on the same wavelength there, truly. I 100% agree. And I think we need to have more conversations like this about really carving out what we're passionate about and then thinking about how OT kind of comes into that passion work. So I'm right here with you, and thank you for speaking that out loud as well. So thank you for your time today. I hope you come back again. I feel like I could talk to you for a lot longer. Okay, but thank you so much again, Amanda.
Thank you, Lisa, for having me. It's a pleasure.